The following transmission contains unencrypted instances of explicit language. Mature audiences are cleared to proceed.
Shall we begin? Let's begin.
Robert Rodriguez is best known for his blood-soaked genre sendups, but his first blockbuster was a PG-rated family adventure. It opened at #1 in March of 2001 and spawned a kid-friendly franchise whose most recent incarnation is a Netflix animated series. I'm Todd.
And I'm Dave, and we like to talk about spy movies.
And I'm Lewis, and I just want to say, Stark, I hope they remember you. That was from Infinity War, in case anybody didn't know that.
We do have friend of the show, Yammering Lou, with us here today, who apparently is under the false impression that we were here to talk about Infinity War, but in fact, we're going to talk about Spy Kids in this episode of Spies Like Us. None of us had seen this movie prior to preparing for this podcast. That's right. That's correct, isn't it?
I mean, I might have seen just a clip of it, probably just surfing through the channels over the years, but no, I never really watched it. I mean, I heard of it, of course.
I'd always heard people say, they would say it in a way like they would assume that you probably heard bad things about it or something. People would say, it's actually not that bad of a movie. And so, over the years, I'd hear that from time to time, and I'd be like, And even from the very beginning of conceiving this spy movie podcast, I was like, yeah, and we'll do everything from Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy to Spy Kids and everything in between.
Yeah.
There's something more famous that I mix it up with. There's one with like a little girl that Harriet the Spy. That's what I'm thinking.
Harriet the Spy. There you go.
That's more famous, right? That did better than Spy Kids, I think. I think I mixed Spy Kids up with that movie.
That's definitely on our list. So we're getting to Harriet the Spy at some point.
Yeah, fine with me. I haven't seen it. I think I'd heard Spy Kids. I think Spy Kids might have been a bigger box office thingy.
Yeah. And people talk about it more, especially like film buff. It's always like some kind of film buff talking about it.
But yeah, as far as Spy Kids, it was even to the point my checkout grocer at the store, it just came up in conversation, that I was working on my podcast about spy movies, and he instantly lit up and he said, oh, like Spy Kids? I was like, oh, okay. Like, I guess we are on the right track. But I don't know. He seems like about the right age and right demographic for this movie to have landed with. I mean, it's clearly a kids' movie. Weirdly enough, you know what, though? Rotten Tomatoes tells a really weird story where audiences actually don't review this very highly at all. Well, maybe, I mean, it's not the kids that are putting the reviews in on Rotten Tomatoes, right? But it's like 95% fresh with critics and like 45 with audiences.
I never put too much stock in the audience reviews. Usually they're like overly high, but I look at the top reviewers, and then you can also look at just all the reviewers together. But I usually segregate it at the top reviewers, because then otherwise you get like every person that has a blog like writing about the movie.
Because especially I've heard so many things, like people are always talking about it with like, sentiment, like, oh, I'm really glad I grew up with that movie, or, oh, wow, as a filmmaker, I was surprised by Spy Kids. And when you go back and look at the critics, they were not kind to it at all.
Yeah, 2001 movie. Another surprise to me, like came completely out of left field. Settling down for this movie was that it is a Robert Rodriguez film, which seemed entirely weird to me. And then my first thought was like, maybe this is one of those like, do one for the studio and one for me. Like, I'll make your little studio Spy Kids movie, and then give me my budget for Sin City. But
plus, you're old when Michelle Trachtenberg is like 35 now. That's when we're pretty old.
Yeah.
Is Trachtenberg, is that Harriet the Spy?
Yeah, she's 35 years old now.
Oh Jesus.
Wow.
That was 96. I mean, Eurotrip was not even that old, way back, but that was 96 when she was in in the Harriet the Spy.
Sequel. Harriet the Spy all grown up.
Yeah. They got to call it that too. Like when
But
they did Rugrats as teenagers, it was all grown up. Could be Harriet all grown up.
but it's not a one for the studio thing. This was his own like project from beginning to end. He wrote this thing. He wrote it and pitched it and directed it and did all the stuffs.
Yeah, he did all kinds of stuff. It's definitely not tourist kids movie. In case there's any kids movie tourist film buffs out there.
What does that mean? Tourist kids movie?
A tourist.
Oh.
Robert Rodriguez is an auteur, wrote, directed, probably edited, did the score, did the casting. It's the usual Rodriguez suspects as far as the cast goes.
That's close enough to autistic. That means I can bring in Ben Affleck kicking ass in that accountant movie as an autistic person. 'Cause that was awesome.
Yeah.
That's one of the single best like scenes in a movie I've ever seen. Like when he's like talking. Have you seen The Accountant?
The Accountant. No.
Yeah, with Ben Affleck's like autistic, and he's like autistic, but his dad trained him to fight because he knew he was going to get picked on all the time. So he's like an autistic guy that does accounting for like bad people.
And he's like a sniper and
He's like super badass fighter. There's one where he's got this huge gun and he sort of lives with these grandparents or not grandparents, these older people. He just visits them and kind of helps them out. And he's like, "What are you doing with that? You can't shoot something from that far away." And he's got the faces, those 5 to help autistic people. Like they have these faces, like they have a happy face, this to show the different faces. But he's got them like giant like targets. The faces as targets, like happy face, and he's like, bam! He just blows up one of them from almost like seemed like hundreds of yards away. And the guy's like, "What the fuck?" It's like,
wow.
he kicks a lot of ass in the movie. It's a really good movie.
Okay.
Not what do you think of in a movie called The Accountant? I mean, it's not. Yeah, he knows his numbers because he's autistic. He's got freakish number skills, but he kicks ass.
Back to this one. I mean, this very much seems like a movie that Robert Rodriguez made for his kids specifically.
Oh, that's kind of sweet.
I think so. He does. He later makes. This is. I think that's borne out by the fact he later makes Adventures of Shark Boy and Lava Girl, which are that is actually a story written by his 9-year-old son, and he made a movie out of it.
Oh, really? Oh, that's kind of cool.
So
I saw that I think I saw a minute or two of that just flipping through the channels one time.
Right. It seems like it's very much got the same DNA as Spy Kids.
Yeah. Right.
I give respect for a guy that directs his vision specifically toward making his kids happy. I really did not like the fact that George Lucas was letting his kids name the characters in the prequels. That's how you get a kill.
Are you kidding?
Oh, yeah. Oh, you didn't know that?
No.
Yeah, he just was letting his fucking 6-year-olds give names to the characters. That's how you get Count Dooku.
And Dexter Jexter.
Yeah, Count Dooku is not. That's just bad. I don't know what.
It's really bad.
Also, Yoda. I think a lot of people agree. Yoda flipping out in that movie just didn't. I don't know. That didn't work for me. I just prefer to see Ray. I didn't want to see Yoda just spazzing out that much. It was too much. Maybe I had to build up to that. Just because before he just limps around, all of a sudden he's spazzing out, jumping all over the place.
At the first moment I saw it, I was 100% on board and in love. But I think maybe I'd just been waiting too long in that movie to see something cool.
Right.
But yeah, in retrospect, I'm not a fan.
But I can understand. My friend explained it to me. I was like, how can he must have had everybody yes men telling him that he's not that's why he screwed the prequels up. But then if you think about it, he didn't listen to people way back. People were telling him Star Wars was stupid. So I can understand why he didn't. This time the people were right though. He was fucking up those prequels. But the people said the same thing about Star Wars, and he didn't listen to them then. Because nobody thought Star Wars was good. That's why they gave him the rights to all the toys. They didn't think it was going to do well.
Yeah,
right.
Oh yeah. It's the major, it's the major thing that changed everything.
Yeah, but his wife actually saved the film. It was apparently a disaster, and his wife was an editor and fixed it in editing, and then he divorced her. And then the studios had to hire a writer for Empire because I don't know.
Yeah, I thought she. I mean, I don't know the full. I thought she left him, but I don't know. Did he I,
Oh,
that,
really?
but I don't know the full. I thought that's what I thought, but maybe I don't have it right.
I
But she
bel
all of a sudden had all that money. Like that always screws up people's marriages a lot of times. And there's two regular people, and then all of a sudden she's got half of like billions of dollars. So she was probably like, "No, I'll just get some younger guy to like
Yeah, right.
this guy's kind of fat and he's kind of boring and he talks about playing with those figures too much. I'm out of here. I got half of that money."
Yep.
And then he raised the kids though. So that's always more unusual when the guy is the one that's the prime. So I don't know. Yeah. So who knows what? But that's what I heard. Yeah. That's why he took off those years. I think he was raising the kids. This is which is my impression. I don't
Are
know
we
the
still on George
actual fact.
Lucas or are we on Rodriguez?
I think we're still on Lucas. We should be talking about Rodriguez.
I was looking over his filmography. I guess I do like him, but there's not really that much of his stuff that I've, put on a list of things that I really, really like. I'm a huge booster for Sin City.
Yeah.
I think that's a masterpiece. And Predators was not directed by him, but he was the it was his idea. And he wrote the first version of the script and produced it and pulled for it. So I give him credit for that. And
You mean Predator? You like the one with Arnold and
Predators, the one with
Danny Glover?
no,
Or is that a more recent one? A more
That's
recent one.
Predators. That's Predators 2 or Predator 2.
This is a more recent one, right? Where I think with like nobody that you know is in it anymore. It's like a total reboot.
Well, it's got Danny Trejo in it. It's got Machete.
And he was in Spy Kids, of course.
Right. God, I'm blanking. Adrian Brody. Adrian Brody's the main character in that one. It's the one where it's the one where they're all kidnapped and taken to the planet of the Predators. Adrian Brody is like Israeli special forces. Danny Trejo is like, a cartel hitman. Like everyone in the group is a predator in some human way,
Yeah, one of the guys was a Yakuza guy, wasn't he?
Yeah. And then of course, like one of them, the one that like they kind of like, conveniently like forget to tell like what his backstory. He turns out like at the end in the twist, like he turns out to be like a Jeffrey Dahmer serial killer type. Like he's gone through the whole movie just looking like this unassuming, like just nerdy, quiet guy, but he turns out to be a total psycho.
Oh, okay. I was not a big fan of that movie.
Wow, I loved it.
For Rodriguez, I mean, like, there's always the classic Dust Till Dawn, Desperado, and then his part in like Four Rooms. The Faculty was out when I was in high school, so I really liked that. Planet Terror was cool too. I'm not really a big fan of like exploitation stuff, but it was kind of fun to watch.
He's listed. He has been shopping around, like possibly doing a Barbarella film. He was gonna be involved in a certain version of a Red Sonja film. That's not happening. I guess there's new news that maybe a Red Sonja movie is back in the works, but not a whole lot of details about it. He's also announced like doing a live action remake of Fire and Ice and a new animated Heavy Metal, and like most recently that he would direct Escape from New York, a remake. The thing is though, like Robert Rodriguez, there's even an entire wiki page like devoted to all of his stuff that he started and didn't finish. It's a pretty big list. So I don't think you ever really know if he's actually going to do any of these things until they actually show up.
Oh, really?
All I know is that they shouldn't ever be able to make another Escape from New York if Kurt Russell's not in it in some form.
Yeah, you could get him in a cameo, sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Lewis, tell us about Spy Kids. What did you think of this film?
Well, I was high when I listened to it.
I want to stop you right there and say, like, I was telling Dave, I was like, I can't decide if I should recommend that Lewis get high for this movie or like definitely recommend that he does not. What do you make of your decision? Do you think it was the right move?
Yeah, because I don't get that crazy, so it's not like maybe if I was really sensitive to like the weird stuff happening, the movie would freak me out. But I've seen all that stuff before. flubies or whatever. It's all the same. Chickens or big thumbs or just just generalized minions. So they're less entertaining than the minions because they're just all thumbs. At least the minions have each of them have like a personality.
Right.
The
And the
minions
minion
being
guy
who?
he didn't
Who's
really
got
have much of a personality. The actual minion guy had much less of a personality than the minions. He was kind of boring. Although I didn't recognize him as the guy that's in Monk, and then I liked it. But that's not really the movie. That's just me liking him, like actor.
That's
He's
actually.
talking about the minions from the Steve Carell movie.
Oh, I see. I
Oh,
see.
Yeah, I'm jumping around a lot and I always follow. Sometimes actually I don't follow where I'm jumping myself either. So I guess I shouldn't hold it against people not following me if I don't even follow me all the time.
Yeah, right.
Yes, the minions are better than the thumbs. You heard it here first, folks.
And the Monk, you guys
Lewis
know
Hamilton's
Monk, right?
hot take.
Yep.
You guys know Monk, right? Classic show,
Yeah.
Monk.
This is my note on Tony Shalhoub. This is the first time I've ever not been excited by Tony Shalhoub in a movie or a TV show. Like there's something really weird to me and kind of depressing about watching someone as talented as Tony Shalhoub kind of phone it in. I didn't get excited about this guy.
Was this before? This is probably when Monk was still going on too. He was in one of the
Galaxy Quest.
Black, the something with Will Smith where they're
Yeah, he's in Men in Black. He was in that show that was set in an airport.
Yeah, he was in Wings.
Yeah, Wings. And Galaxy Quest. He's fucking amazing in Galaxy Quest.
Yeah, he has a crush on that projects herself as a hot woman, but actually is one of those giant flurby things. It's like looks more one of those little alien looking squid things. That's what she actually was. But
in Galaxy Quest, he was like, I don't know, asleep or something for the first transport. Like he missed a bunch of the exposition at the first part of the movie. So the joke of his character is he doesn't actually get what's going on in the way that everyone else does. And no one thinks to explain it to him, which I thought was very, very funny. And he played very well.
Yeah.
What else you got on Spy Kids for us, Lewis?
I don't know. It didn't feel like very, I mean, I think I would give it, I would say it's a okay enough movie, but I don't think it's very memorable. It just seemed like like I was telling Dave before, like just seemed like they just threw stuff together. Like you know where they're gonna get. You got the insecure, kind of strange kid is gonna, he's gonna like help out in the end. So that's like the formula, and then the Antonio Barris's brother is the same. Like, I don't want to look after my brother, and that's like totally like the sister brother dynamic, and then they just throw all these little freaky things at them, but they don't like stand. It just seemed like okay, now it's time for another 5 frogs. Okay, now it's time to throw some gargoyles at them, but psychedelic gargoyles. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that makes it cool. They're psychedelic gargoyles, and then they just, I don't know, it didn't.
I agree 100% that this movie just seems like ingredients like thrown into the stew with no real recipe. I
think the actors did a good enough job in general, so I think that was likable. But yeah, maybe we're having problems with the writer, maybe, and the director. But I think the performers were pretty good.
I think some of the gags were cute. Like, I mean, for a kids film, I mean, this is kind of what you can expect. And I think they had some cool moments for like kids, but I loved a lot of the gags, like how many times people ripped off their mustache. Like they totally ripped on the like spy trope where you just put on a mustache and you're a different person. Like Cheeks rips off his mustache, Antonio Banderas puts on one and then rips it off. And yeah, a lot. Or like when Monk like took off his glasses to show that he was Mr. Minion, like he had changed. Like there's a lot of like, cute little gags like that I really enjoyed.
Why did he have such thick? Like, how is he able to? He has like real thick glasses, though, right? And then he just doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's like his disguise. It makes him look. There's something always about the, those kind of glasses, because they make your eyes look so big in your head that make you have this like disconnect between looking at like a baby face and an adult face at the same time. Is what I think that effect always causes in me.
Plus, it reminds me of the guy from Dodgeball that has the moment where he like gets angry and wins the one match, like because that guy had some thick glasses too.
Yeah, right.
You suck something awful. The only chance you have is to get angry. It's like, okay.
I want to go again, also on the kitchen sink thing. I want to go specifically on this Floop character, who is like a cross between evil Willy Wonka and a 1960s Batman villain. Seems to me.
That's a good description of Floop.
Yeah, and he's got like 9 different themes. Is my problem with him. There's puzzle pieces, you know, like his windows and his floors. Like, oh, okay, this is a puzzle guy. Oh, but no, this is actually it's a finger guy. He's got like chairs made of fingers and people with thumbs for faces and limbs and stuff. But wait, no. He's also like a weird yellow goop candy eating guy. But no,
I think they got it backwards. If you think about, I can think of at least 2 movies where that actor plays like a sidekick, like where he plays like a sort of like a bad minion or like kind of a corrupt assistant. So I think they should have it reversed. Tony Shalhoub should have been the main guy, and then his should have been the minion talking about his ideas and all the time, and then Tony Shalhoub would just be like, "Nah, that's stupid" or whatever. Because I don't think that actor can he has to be the sidekick.
He's a sub villain in a Bond film, that being GoldenEye, Pierce Brosnan's first film. Alan Cummings is in, and
is he like an assistant to the bad guy or something?
He's like a super genius hacker of some kind. And like his big line in the movie that got memed on a bit, and that he says people still come up to him and say, "I am invincible." He's like a Russian hacker, and then he's in the video.
That was him.
Yeah.
Oh.
and then he's in the video game. Like when you shoot at him the first time in the video game, he runs away saying, "I am invincible."
That's amazing.
Also, the head guy, that seemed like an odd actor to play. Isn't that the guy from Terminator 2?
Oh yeah, Robert Patrick.
Yeah, that seemed like a weird choice to play the big bad guy.
Oh no, I thought he was perfect. And in a movie which doesn't reference any actual spy agencies or countries or anything. I think though, like Robert Patrick's character is very intentionally American. Isn't
it weird? Like you don't see. I've never seen a spy movie where you never see who's in charge. Like that, they're all just these spies, but you never see. Did you ever see like a head spy saying like, "Hey, are you guys gonna come?" Isn't it always just them talking to each other? You don't ever see like M or whoever is the head of. They don't even mention the name
like
of
in
the
films.
You never see anybody. You never see any superior officers talking to them about like, "Hey, why don't you guys get back in here?" Or helping them out. All you see is other agents. You just see the one agent really.
But actually, you do have George Clooney as Devlin. He shows up at the end of the movie on the screen.
But right. Is he like their boss?
Yeah, he's the boss.
Okay,
and he's the guy. He's the guy that. Well, apparently he's not. At the beginning of the movie, Gregorio gets the message. He tells his wife that he got a message from Devlin, which is George Clooney. But obviously, like they couldn't show us that because it was a faked message. So somehow they fooled him into thinking he got a message from Devlin. I'm not clear on that.
Well, in the boat when they're headed out and they jump into the ocean with their car boat thing, that lady from the OSS, by the way, that's the organization they all worked for, is the state, not to be confused with the Office of Strategic Services. It's actually the Organization of Super Spies.
I'm so glad you clarified that for me, Dave, because I was massively confused by that.
Also, what was that third brain doing all those years? They just dump it in the refrigerator. Or what was going on with that third brain? And it's kind of like it's like intelligent life, and they just dump it for like 10 years and they don't give a shit about it.
Gregorio had to like hide it because he wasn't supposed to have it. It was supposed to have been destroyed.
But did they at least give it a nice apartment, like kick back, find some other brains for it to, like some brain porn or something? Like they just dump it in the refrigerator.
No, it's just hanging out by itself. That's funny.
Why is it is it the third brain? Because he was like the third one in line and they killed the other two. Is that why they call it the third brain? Or is it, that's why I wasn't sure if it was like, here's the third brain and he just didn't kill the number 3 brain. Is that why or is it, there's some reason it's called the third brain?
There's no reason that I know of except that it sounds kind of cool.
I just thought maybe it was a third one. Like like you see them killing. Like there's a lineup of the brains, and they're like, okay, you got to kill him, and he saved his. I thought maybe that was a third one. Or something. That's the
Oh,
only thing I come up with.
it's like the third prototype or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they were all working on something.
The third brain lives.
Yep, it does.
He did not hide it very well. It's ridiculously badly hidden.
I'm not a programming expert, but I don't think it's that easy to just be like, oh, just switch it to binary and then make them all good. Or I don't know what was going on with that. That sounded kind of weird, but
And like Floop just being a mad genius that could just solve it that quickly. Now everybody's good. But I mean,
he's not even like he's not even a bad, like when does a mad genius like change their mind and go like, yeah, I don't think I want to take over the world with those things that I've been building for years. He's just like, nah, I don't want to do that.
He wasn't really the one behind it. It was mainly Minion's idea, and he actually didn't like doing it. It was just kind of suggested to him or something.
The backstory of this movie is a total mess. You know that at this point, like, yeah, Minion has wormed his way deep into Floop's operation and is basically like fooling Floop into thinking that these are his ideas. And somehow, like, I don't know, like, did Floop ever actually have an ambition to create this army of super agents? It's not clear. Did that happen before or after Minion showed up? What were they thinking? Making these floogies?
Yeah, right.
And trying to sell them to Robert Patrick?
He wanted to like do cool stuff, but he had to do something to make money. So I think that was the thing they were going to make money on, selling the army to Robert Patrick. That's what I got from it. Like,
where does this money come from? Usually in these kind of movies, like, you know, when you have the character that is like the super, well, second best rated children's television show, which actually I thought was kind of a tiny little joke that I appreciated.
Yeah.
Is that's where they get their money from. But I could also see that, you know, maybe Floop was just this like eccentric billionaire or trillionaire or something.
And just decided to start his own show for funsies.
He's got some weird shit. I think in a smarter version of the movie at the end, you would have found out that like his show isn't, well, no, maybe his show isn't actually being broadcast to anybody.
And then I thought, if one more they make it like it's the kid's imagination. Is it even really a show? Because he's like, doesn't the kid go like, I came up with that idea for this and that? The kid's got like the doll, or is it? But it sounds like he almost like was affecting the show in some way.
And then they're to make the floogies, they're abducting OSS agents, which is not explained. Like, was that, which is the cart and which is the horse here? Did they first decide like, oh, we'll kidnap secret agents, turn them into mutants, and then sell the mutants to the Americans? Or was it that their operation was starting to be investigated and it was the agents that came like, you know, one by one snooping around investigating, that they were like, well, we'll have to melt this guy's brain or something.
Plus, what goes on with that third? What was going on with that third brain? They didn't ever explain. How does it suddenly put brains in all those kids? They don't really. You just, how does it?
Yeah, it was like a super AI that had been developed to like match like a human's brain levels.
But how does it make all those brains?
It's better. No, it's better than that. The third brain has like all the knowledge of all the spies, like programmed into it.
They're not making brains for theirs, uploading its knowledge into all those different kids. Because I don't know what was going on.
That's supposedly the idea, but I'll tell you this: that third brain thing doesn't seem to make the kids any smarter.
Nope.
They don't seem any bit as smarter once they get the brains installed.
Yeah, they don't really need to be smart because they're like strong robots, so they just use brute force. They don't really use their smarts, really. They just kind of like,
they were making robot clones of like government officials' children so that they could use them as spies of government officials. But the problem is they couldn't talk, so the idea was getting the third brain so that they could talk, I guess.
But that doesn't seem to have worked.
Right, because they don't talk.
I got another complaint about the kids, about this robot kid plan. They have okay, first of all, they don't seem to be any smarter. They're not fooling anybody. Every once in a while, their eyes just go, bzzz, which is going to put you off. And the last thing is they creak and make fucking robot noises when they move. Like this is not. I'm not going to be the State Department head. My daughter shows up and she's walking around going zzz, 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 zzz.
Right.
Her eyes flash and she's like, "Hello, father." Smashes my desk into, and I'm like, "Oh, that's all right, honey. Just go outside and play."
That's the kind of slapdash thing that the Dan Aykroyd, Chevy Chase people would put together if they said, "Build us a smart kid," and that because they were jackasses, so they would build something like that.
It's not a good spy movie. We can agree on that, can't we?
Yes,
I will say it's not a good spy movie.
I would say it's okay for kids. I mean, it's probably an okay movie for kids. They'll probably like it.
I like the mustache gag. I'm still sticking behind that one. Also, I don't know for next week when we talk about our best and worst. When Gregorio was working on the Third Brain project and he didn't want to destroy it, he pulls out a walnut to destroy the walnut to make it look like he destroyed the third brain so that he could hide it. I thought that was kind of cute.
I didn't catch that it was a walnut, but okay, yes. Yeah. You got me there. That's a good one. That's a good example of a subtle joke.
That actually made my number 3 best tradecraft. Oh, I gotta hide this. Oh, I can't destroy it. Let me try and sneak it out. I know. I'm going to just take a walnut out of my pocket that I have for some reason and break it so that they think I broke the brain. It's not as funny hearing me talk about it, but I don't know.
Okay. Alan Cummings is not the only person in this movie that has a Bond pedigree. Terry Hatcher is a former Bond girl from another Pierce Brosnan joint, Tomorrow Never Dies.
Oh, she was like the Bond girl?
She was, yeah, the Bond girl. When you're casting for spy movie parodies, sometimes you look for people that maybe just, so that adults, I mean, we're all adults. None of us caught these things. I only noticed them from Wiki, but so that adults will see the character and say oh, okay, yeah, from the Bond movie.
In 2001, Terry Hatcher was a bigger star, so you would have more likely known who she was then.
What do you remember her from?
She was in that movie 2 Days in the Valley because she does a memorable thing where she just kind of passes out in the street, I think, because she's bleeding or something. If you remember that movie, and she's in a lot of movies where I think she was in Soap Dish, and she's been in a bunch of. She even played character on 2.5 Men. Wasn't she in the Wives? The one with Desperate Housewives. I think she was in not the reality show, the actual show. There was a show called Desperate Housewives, maybe 10 or more years ago. She was in that. That's probably where maybe she'd be best known for recently.
So now, Lewis, I'm going to blow your mind now. Do you realize that the Danny Trejo character in here is actually the Machete from the Machete movies? That the Machete movies are literally a spin-off from Spy Kids?
For real? I mean?
Pretty much, yeah. His name is Machete.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably not a direct spin-off, but that's hilarious. I didn't even think about that.
I like to think that it's direct.
He's got a good taco restaurant in L.A. I heard that seen before. I suppose he does pretty well. Now I just think of him as Car Shield because he's doing those cars. Isn't he doing those cars? No, that's not. I'm mixing up with Ice-T. Ice-T's doing the Car Shield commercials. That's a totally different person.
How did you mix up Ice-T with Danny Trejo?
Well, they're both kind of like that badass kind of dudes.
His biography is named Prisoner Number 11 because yeah. Go ahead. You can figure it out.
He was in prison?
Yeah, I believe he was, for one thing. Don't super quote me on this, but there's a guy in Reservoir Dogs. It's the one guy in the crew that you've never seen before and you've never seen after, right? He's an older guy with white hair.
Oh, Mr. Blue, something Bunker.
Okay, yeah, Mr. Blue. I think Mr. Blue, he was an actual hardened criminal that did time and ended up started writing while he was in prison. And I think the story goes, I think he's the one that ran into Danny Trejo in prison and was like, dude, you should be an actor when you get out.
Yeah, I heard that's why he was able to get gigs, because one, he was huge and like cut and stuff, but that he actually was like a career criminal and could bring like a bunch of expertise on a set or something.
But no, the reason Danny's biography is named like Prisoner Number 9 or whatever is like as a nod to like how many movies that he played an unnamed convict. He was in like 16 or 17 movies where like in the credits it's just like Danny Trejo, prisoner number 3.
Yeah. Oh, that's like
Number
that
7.
actor that was that's always Hector. His entire IMDb, he plays just a side gangster guy named Hector.
Who's that?
I don't remember the actor's name, but he's like probably the most famous background actor because that's all he does. And his entire IMDb, the name of his character is Hector, but he never has any lines. He's just like some like cholo gangster in the background, and like all of his credits are just this guy named Hector.
What do you say, Lewis? You want to come into the briefing room with us and hang out with us while we break down the tradecraft of this film?
Okay.
Unless we had anything else to say about the movie in general.
I mean, I know you guys kind of didn't like it, but I enjoyed it. I mean, just watching it as a kid's film, I thought it was a lot of fun. I mean, like, yeah, there's a lot of inconsistencies, but, you know, it's got your typical colors all over the place. Other than, I agree with your sentiment, Todd. I think when I was watching it, you saw the CGI and you were like, what the hell is this? I didn't think we got to talk too much about the CGI, but I mean, I thought it was fun. You know, it had the basic theme of family and like, you know, the intrigue of like the spy parents or whatever. And then they go on an interesting adventure. They have this weird, evil Willy Wonka guy that turns into a good guy. I don't know. I had fun. It was fun for me.
I'll give it a mild like. I didn't dislike it. I'll give it a mild like.
As far as the CG goes, that was mainly because I walked in on the movie basically pretty much like it was the sharks. It was the sharks that really like threw me off CG wise. Other than that, I didn't think for what it is, the CGI, it's not awful.
Right. But yeah, no, I mean, I had fun with it. It was nice and the cameos were cool. But other than that, yeah.
But yeah, and the sister had the diaper, but he was the one who peed his pants and woke up the sharks. Not her.
That's true.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. And that came out of nowhere too. That, you know, she's just making fun of him. And like his one card that he plays is that she wears diapers.
That's an odd one.
Yeah. Well, I guess it explains why she's so mean to him, I guess. Someone to pick on? I don't know. Whatever.
I feel like there's no excuse when you're the writer and the director for there to be so many threads on the sweater that are just dangling loose.
Yeah, right.
All right, briefing room time. Let's tradecraft this thing up.
Let's do it.
Retinal scan complete. Validating security clearance. Clearance granted. You may now enter the briefing room.
So what level in like a spy agency would a Fluber be? Is that like a entry level? Is that like a higher level?
You mean what security clearance would you give a Fugly?
Yeah.
I don't think you trust him with anything.
You can't really put them undercover. Those things can't go undercover.
No, but they also can't tell any secrets, right?
Yeah,
right.
Unless you figure out that one stupid thing that they're speaking backwards, which is also not explained.
Yeah, at all.
And you can freak people out with those thumbs if you want to try to get people to spill the beans.
We did go over the plot, like the evil villainous plot, and how much sense it doesn't make. Let's just get a minus 5 points buzzer on that.
Yep.
Thank you. Dave, you mentioned you liked your best tradecraft number 3 plus spy points for smashing a walnut.
Yep.
I think you're fucking with me, but that's okay.
Smiley is suspicious, Percy.
On a movie
I think
like
it's just so funny. It just cracked me up, and I had to put it in there.
all right.
It was just like, how do you even think about that? You have this high tech like AI brain and I don't know, Robert Rodriguez just thinks, it kind of looks like a walnut. So here you have this like top-notch international world spy, and how he's gonna sneak, to prevent from destroying it. How he's gonna sneak out the third brain is just pulling a walnut that he just happens to have in his pocket and smash that with a hammer. It's the best. How do you even think about that?
Why were they getting rid of it? Because it was too. They thought it was too dangerous what they were uncovering.
Yeah, they thought it was going to be too dangerous, but he loved the project so much he couldn't bring himself to destroying it. So his solution was taking out the walnut that he just happened to have in his pocket to pretend like he was destroying the brain. I know this is a sarcastic number 3, but I just think it was hilarious.
As long as you acknowledge that, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah. But so that's kind of like, I guess, the flashback is there's all these big OSS spies, which, like we explained, OSS, not to be confused with the Office of Strategic Services, it's the Organization of Super Spies, was apparently developing an AI brain to make spying less dangerous. Like the concept of using drones these days in the military. So you don't have people on the boots on the ground that could get killed. They wanted to use the brain to take all the knowledge of all the spies of the past so that they could use robot spies instead of people spies. And that's what they were working on. And he couldn't bring himself to destroy it. But both the parents were working for the OSS as spies, and somehow they were both hired to kill each other by the organization that they worked for. That's just another thread. But anyway, that's the premise of what's going on here. Is we have these two world-class spies that are hired to kill each other, working for the organization. I don't know.
Also, I just thought it was interesting. They were touching on the different, like, how there's different, like, even they were spies, but they had secrets amongst each other, and then the kids sort of had secrets. Like, everybody was sort of not totally, like, on the up and up. Everybody had, like, their secrets. So I thought that was sort of like also a spy related to spies.
Another theme that I just thought was
Yeah.
hideously underexplored. And that at the end, when they say, like, okay, no more secrets, I'm like, okay, I like where you got. I just don't think you deserve to get there with what you did.
Not at all. It was the adventure that made them realize they should be honest, even though there was no dealing with the honesty whatsoever.
They get the parents out of the way pretty fast in this movie. Surprisingly fast, I thought. Devlin apparently, so somehow, like, Devlin is said to be the one that contacted Gregorio. I believe it wasn't Devlin, that somehow the villains faked that, which I don't want to give. I don't want to give plus spy points for the villains. I want to maybe give more minus spy points for Gregorio for falling for it. But they do, along the way, as the parents are heading off to wherever the signal has sent them. And I guess the idea is you give them the actual location of you give them some location to send them to so you can capture them and take them to your fortress. But along the way, they do get Terry Hatcher on the screen, like, kind of filling them in a little more about the details. And so I think I give that that is my number 2 best tradecraft and plus spy points, is that there is a familiar face to Gregorio that's leading him down the garden path.
Yeah, that was kind of interesting. Like how, I guess, she had been working for Lisp the whole time, and because she had worked for OSS and was able to demonstrate. So she, I guess, was a double agent, is what we would call it. Because she was officially OSS, but she was working for Lisp the whole time, who was working with Floop.
No, I think she's Minion's girlfriend. Or wait, she's somebody's girlfriend. I think
she is.
Yeah.
They kind of flirt with each other.
She's on Team Minion.
Yeah.
Who is?
Terry Hatcher.
Oh, Terry Hatcher.
With her fried ass hair.
Yup. What was that, from the jetpack?
Yeah, that was from the jetpack in the fight scene at the safe house.
Right.
Of course, once they get a hold of the parents, they tie him up in a chair and just leave him alone, which is minus spy points. You need to have someone guarding world-class spies. That's super villain no-nos, like page 1.
Absolutely.
They should have been separated so they couldn't talk to each other or interact with each other. Instead, what Floop does, he literally just waits for them to escape just so he can, pull out a little stopwatch or whatever and say, 15 minutes. I thought you were better than that. And then just recapture him, which has no purpose at all. And then, he can hint about his plans in front of Carmen. And then after recapturing him, they still don't guard them and they still don't interrogate them. That's minus spy points. And my number 2 worst tradecraft is just the fact that once they have Gregorio, they don't do anything with him. Of course, soon enough, they kind of don't have use for him anymore because they get they know that they find out that the third brain is out there and in play.
Right, and they can take care of it, and that's why they turned him into a flugel or something.
I still don't know why they do that. I don't know why they turn Cheech into a flugel, except as a threat. It seems like you'd much rather interrogate these people. These people know stuff that you want to know.
Absolutely.
Minus spy points.
I didn't understand. Definitely big minus spy points.
So what's the top spy points?
Well, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah.
So safe house. So you got the parents. You're not going to do anything with them. Whatever. You send your thumbs to the house to, I guess, look for the third brain. And then when you don't find it there, you go to the safe house, which Terry Hatcher had a key to. So clearly she knew it existed in the first place. This raises the question, why didn't you just go and check the safe house in the first place?
Right.
where also minus spy points, you would have found the third brain to be very, very easy to find. All you do is flip over the picture of the wedding. You just knock that down and pick it up again, and then boom, there's your third brain. Boom.
Right.
Not very well hidden at all.
It was just Junie that accidentally found it because they put the picture down and then he picked it back up, I guess. I don't know. But one thing I did want to point out at the safe house scene was when Terry Hatcher first meets the kids, she's pretending, she's putting up, hey, I'm OSS. I worked with your parents. Don't worry, I'm a friend. You could trust me. Then she tells the kids Gregorio's last message is literally just the word floop. And Junie figures that out because he watches Floop's TV show. But then she goes and tells the kids everything about Floop, how he's evil and he's taking spies and turning them into Fugels, and that the Fugels speak backwards and they're talking about how they hate their life now. And she goes and explains everything to these kids when she's pretending to be on their side, but gives out all of the information about Floop when she's working with Minion and Floop at that point. They hadn't, I guess, undermined Floop yet. And so I don't know why she's giving this information to the kids. So I made this my number 1 worst tradecraft. I don't think there was any reason for her to do that. And she just handed, and when we analyze tradecraft and spy films, information is gold. That's the currency of the spy community, right? They're exchanging information. That's what has value. And she's literally just handing the family jewels to these kids who are obviously the protagonists in their own film.
Yeah, I agree. I had that one too as minus spy points. Didn't make my list of worst.
Also, don't you want to have this a safe house that only you know about in case your own agency is in case you go rogue or something, or just because it's more secure, so that isn't that a minus spy points, having your safe house be known by the other agents,
right?
Or at least by somebody but other than you.
Well, I mean, clearly they trusted Felix to know about it. So who knows who else they also was in their circle of trust. Terry Hatcher might have been within that circle of trust.
Is this one of the cases where they could replace Cheech with Chong, or would Chong not have pulled that character off? I don't think he could have. I think he would have been too high.
I think it would have been a funnier. I think it would have been a funnier choice
with Chong. Yeah,
he's like the more. I always get the impression that he's the guy that's way more into weed than Cheech. And is that true?
Oh yeah,
I mean, he has his own. I think he has his own strain of it, and like I think he's really like taking that, especially in today's legal weed. Like I think he's really jumped on that.
Yeah, I think
bandwagon.
I think Cheech Marin has actively worked to separate himself from that situation.
Right.
But I don't think he ever will. It doesn't matter how many things he's in. He's always like, you're going to always think of Cheech and Chong first, I think. Maybe not the kids today because that's before there. But anybody our age, you'll think of that.
Yeah, there'll be somebody that grew up watching him in that Don Johnson TV show or something. And,
You're right.
and is just kind of vaguely aware that he was in some weird.
And I never even saw. I don't even think
comedies.
Are they even in that many movies? Or is it just like one character scene that just became like iconic? I don't even think I remember seeing them in movies together that much. And I guess they did that one movie, right? Or maybe they probably did more than one movie. But...
Oh, they did a bunch. I want to say
it doesn't even matter. It's just like
I want to say at least 3 and maybe as many as 5.
I don't think you have to see any of the movies to appreciate just those 2 stoner characters. It doesn't even matter. It's like,
I've only ever seen scenes from the movie. I've never sat down and watched any of the Cheech and Chongs like from beginning to end. Fun fact, it's Stripes. Stripes was originally written as Cheech and Chong go into the military.
No way.
Yeah, we talked.
That would have
about
been a very different film.
Very different film. I want to see that one. That's the one I would want to see.
They would have gotten high, right? They would have gotten high and be like trying to do their maneuvers high and everything.
Right.
Yeah, it could have been comedy gold. I forget. I might have known at one point why that fell apart, but yeah, was originally.
Bill Murray was on Conan. I was watching. I don't know if it's a new Conan. No, it was a new one. I saw Bill Murray was on Conan last night. I guess because he's got a movie out. And I think the other guy passed away, right? Didn't Harold Ramis?
Oh yeah, he's
passed
gone.
away.
He's gone.
Been gone for a while, yeah.
We're gonna end part 1 of our Spy Kids episode here. To be totally fair, it's not that much of an actual spy movie, but we are committed on this show to covering all spy movies, not just the best ones. And I, for one, am having a lot of fun hanging out with Lou and Dave on this one. Plot-wise, we haven't made a lot of headway, but we have gotten all the pieces on the board, and we do have all the characters introduced. This is the point in the film where Carmen and Junie have found out that their parents are spies and that they need help. And next week we'll follow along their adventure to accomplish that.
As always, the best way to make sure you don't miss out on that is to hit the subscribe button on iTunes, Google, your favorite podcast app. Also, you can find updates on our Facebook page or website, spieslikeus.net. And please, if you can help us out and give us some feedback, we're always trying to improve the show, and your thoughts would be a big help.
The preceding transmission sampled the songs Ice Cold by Audionautics, Enter the Party by Kevin MacLeod, and sound effects from freesound.org. Attributions and links are found at spieslikeus.net. Editing by Todd Hostetler.